This is one of a series of videos explaining balance sheets, and this particular one is going to be looking at the difference between current and non-current assets. So we are just looking at this side of the balance sheet, the total assets, which are made up of current assets and non-current assets. So we're just looking at this side of the balance sheet with our current assets and then our non-current assets. The major difference between the two of them is how liquid the assets are. In accounting, the word liquidity, and when we talk about how liquid these assets are, we're describing how quickly they will convert into cash. Our current assets will turn into cash much more quickly, and our non-current assets are less likely to turn into cash. And the distinction will generally be that current assets are those which we would expect to turn into cash within the next 12 months. And non-current assets will usually not turn into cash within the next 12 months. We've got some examples there, and they are the same examples that we have on the balance sheet, which we'll go back to. Our most current asset is cash. We said that a current asset is one which will turn into cash within the next 12 months. Well, cash is already a current asset. Cash already has been turned into cash, and so it is the most liquid asset that a business can have. The second one here is accounts receivable. This is when people have purchased products from our business and they've purchased them on credit, which means they owe us the money at a future point in time. At the moment, we don't have any cash from this. It is like we have a piece of paper that is an IOU, saying that we will receive money at a future point in time. Because we would expect to receive that money within the next 12 months, accounts receivable is a current asset. The last example of a current asset we have here is inventory, which some businesses call stock. This is the products which the businesses sell. Most businesses would expect to sell the stock they have in their business at that point in time within the next 12 months. And so therefore, inventory is also a current asset. So this leaves us with our non-current assets. I've just put the right slide up. The non-current assets here. These are things which will usually not turn into cash within 12 months. Our non-current assets are still assets. They're things of value which are owned by the business. But, for example, if a business has its own premises, it has a building, it is going to be using that building for the foreseeable future. It won't be expecting to sell that building in the short term, and so therefore it is an asset that isn't going to be turning into cash within the next 12 months, and therefore it is a non-current asset. Equipment that is used by the business, for example, office equipment, computers, desks and chairs, things like that, that would be expected to be used in the business for an indefinite period of time. The business isn't going to be selling those things off in the short term, so therefore they are also non-current assets. And our last example that we have here is vehicles. If there are vehicles within the business, they will be being used by the business to generate money, but they won't themselves be sold to be turned into cash within the next 12 months, so they are also non-current assets. So just to sum up, this side of the balance sheet we have our assets, which are made up of current assets, which will be turned into cash within the next 12 months, and non-current assets, which will remain in the business for longer than the next 12 months and won't be turned into cash. And that gives us down here our total assets, in this case of $19,000.